Hello everyone, I'm Eve from Susan's family. Today, I'm bringing you the green pine for prosperity from Fat Choy plant. This potted plant consists of the pot, soil, trunk, branches, leaves, and decorations. We will crochet them in order, and then assemble after completion. First, let's learn how to make the pot. We start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Before we start, let's go over the chart. In the chart, our plus number indicates the round number. The column for increases and decreases explanation shows the stitch patterns needed for crocheting the current round, including any increases or decreases. The total stitches column shows the total number of stitches after completing all the stitches in the current round. The stitch patterns used include X single crochet, V short needle increase, V short needle add needle, a short needle decrease, a short needle reduce needle, chain stitch, and slip stitch. Now, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. For better visibility, I will use cotton yarn for the demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and crochet hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. The foundation method is magic ring, which means the casting on method is an adjustable magic ring. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Pick up the yarn tail with your right hand. Wrap it around your left index finger once. Pinch where the loops overlap with your right thumb and index finger. Then take it out. Then wrap the yarn tail around your left little finger once. Pass it through between your middle finger and index finger. Transfer the loop to between your left middle finger and thumb. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Move the hook between these 2 points. Insert the hook into the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise around the hook. Draw the yarn through. You now have 1 loop on the hook. Then make a slip stitch to secure. Yarn over. Draw through the loop. 1 slip stitch is now completed. Pull tight. The magic ring is now complete. Keep the loop on the hook slightly loose. This makes it easier for the following crochet work. Next, crochet the first round. Our 1 consists of 7 repeats, 7x. The number before the X indicates how many single crochets to make, so you make that many single crochets. Here it means to crochet 7 single crochets into the magic ring. First, work 1 chain as the turning chain for the single crochet. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. This turning chain is not marked in the chart. But when crocheting in rounds, you need to make a turning chain at the beginning of each round. The turning chain for single crochet does not count as a stitch. Then start crocheting single crochets. Insert into the magic ring. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again. And draw through both loops. 1 single crochet is completed. There's a V shape formed by 2 yarns at the top right. This is the stitch of a single crochet. Place a stitch marker on the stitch. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paperclip or safety pin instead. Continue with the second single crochet. Insert into the large hole of the starting point. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over again. And draw through both loops on the hook. The second single crochet is completed. In the first round, you need to crochet 7 single crochets in total. Continue to complete the remaining single crochets. The stitch pattern corresponding to the chart is now completed. After that, close the magic ring. Tighten the yarn tail. And the ring is secured. Then slip stitch to finish in the first single crochet stitch of this round, which is where the stitch marker is placed. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. And pull through all the loops on the hook. The slip stitch is completed. This slip stitch forms a braid, but it does not count as a stitch. Tighten it. The slip stitch is not indicated in the form. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch, and pull tight. This completes the first round. Move on to the second round. For our 2, it's 7V. The number before the V indicates how many consecutive single crochet increases. Here it means you need to work 7 single crochet increases in a row. Work 7 single crochet increases consecutively. Work 1 chain as a beginning chain. Let me emphasize again. At the beginning of each round, start with a beginning chain. I won't repeat this for subsequent rounds. Work 1 single crochet increase in the first stitch of the first round. This is where you insert your hook for the slip stitch. Work 2 single crochets in this same stitch. As you crochet, place the starting tail above the hook. Weave in the tail as you go along. 1 stitch. Place a marker. Insert the hook into the same stitch again and work a single crochet. Two stitches. The single crochet increase is now complete. Continue to work a single crochet increase in the next left stitch. Don't forget to weave in the yarn tail as you go. The second single crochet increase is now complete. You need to work a total of 7 single crochet increases in this round. For the remaining 5, work 2 single crochets in each stitch. After completing the last single crochet increase, check the stitch count. Start counting from the marked stitch. 1, 2, 3, 13, 14. This round totals 14 stitches. The total stitch count for each round is indicated in the corresponding table. I won't repeat this information moving forward. Next, join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Be mindful that, at the end of each round, you need to join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Insert your hook at the stitch marker. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Pull through all the loops on your hook. Pull tight. The slip stitch is now complete. You can cut off the extra yarn tail from the starting chain directly. The second round is now completed. Continue with the third round. R3 is XV times 7. The parentheses indicate that these stitches form a group. Times several indicates the number of times to repeat the pattern. Start with a single crochet. Place a marker here. This makes it easier to find the position for the slip stitch later. Mark the first stitch of each round. Work a single crochet increase next. That completes the XV group. Let me demonstrate this again. Start with a single crochet. Then work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. This is the second repetition. You need to repeat the XV pattern 7 times in this round. For the remaining 5 repetitions, follow the method of 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet increase. Finally, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Pull tight. That completes the third round. Let's take a look. The right side texture is clear. The wrong side texture is blurry. Now we will work the fourth round. Start with a single crochet. Work a single crochet increase in the next stitch. Then work 1 more single crochet. That completes the XVX pattern. Let me demonstrate it one more time. Start with a single crochet. Then work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Continue with 1 more single crochet. This is the second time. Follow the previous method and continue crocheting. After completing all stitches, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The 4th round is now completed. Move on to the 5th round. Start with 3 single crochets. Then work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. The 3XV stitch is now completed. Pay attention. The increase placement should follow the stitch pattern order in the chart. Do not adjust it arbitrarily. Continue crocheting according to the previous method. After completing, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The 5th round is now completed. Let's take a look. A raised texture on the right side indicates 1 round. Now we have completed 5 rounds. For rounds 6 through 7 as shown in the chart. All the stitch techniques used have been demonstrated in detail previously. You just need to follow the stitch pattern order in the chart, and repeat crocheting the corresponding number of times. This completes the explanation for rounds 6 to 7. Next, we will crochet round 8. When you encounter BLO, it means to pick up the back loop only. That is, crochet into the strand of the stitch that is farther away from you. Continue to pick the back loop only, and crochet, following the chart. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 8 is now completed. For rounds 9 through 17, you just need to follow the stitch pattern order in the chart, and repeat crocheting the corresponding number of times. Let me explain this part. In the chart for R11 R17, the increases and decreases explanation shows even 6x. This means starting from round 11. Work 1 single crochet in each stitch. Each round will have 66 stitches. Continue crocheting all the way through to the end of round 17. Pay attention and don't forget to make the beginning chain and slip stitch. Moving forward, follow the method we learned earlier. Refer to the chart to complete these rounds. Next, we'll work on round 18. Starting from this round, you need to crochet on the wrong side. Begin with a starting chain. Turn means to turn over the workpiece. Then start from the last stitch of the previous round, and work single crochets evenly into each stitch. Note that on the wrong side, the stitches are located in the upper left corner. For the last stitch, crochet into the insertion point of the slip stitch from the previous round. Finish with a slip stitch. Round 18 is now completed. For rounds 19 through 22 as shown in the chart below, please refer to the pattern to crochet. Note that for rounds 19 and 20, you should pick up the back loops only. Complete these rounds accordingly. Now crochet round 23, start with 5 single crochets. Then work a single crochet decrease. Insert the hook into the front loop of the next stitch, which is the strand of the stitch closest to you. Then insert the hook into the front loop of the left stitch. You should have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull through the first 2 loops. You will have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over. And draw through once. The single crochet decrease is completed. This method of working decreases by only picking up the front loops is called an invisible decrease. This completes one group, 5 SC, SC2 tog. This completes one group. Now for another group, start with 5 single crochets. Then work a single crochet decrease. Let me demonstrate this again. The hook goes through the front loops of the next 2 stitches on the left side. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through again. The second single crochet decrease is now complete. Continue to finish this round. After completing the last single crochet decrease, fasten off. Leave a 5 cm tail and cut the yarn. Pull the yarn through. Then pull it through the first chain stitch. Then pull the yarn through the middle of the last stitch. This completes the fastening off. Round 23 is now completed. Tuck the yarn tail inside. Now proceed with stuffing. Turn the last few rounds to the right side. Next, take out the weighting beads and fiberfill. Evenly spread the weighting beads at the bottom of the pot. Then stuff in the fiberfill. Ensure the stuffing is firm and even. Pay attention to ensuring the pot does not pucker. This completes the pot. Next, let's learn how to make the soil. Start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The crocheting method for the soil is similar to the first few rounds of the pot. Follow the previous method. Use the corresponding color yarn to crochet the soil. Finally, leave a 60 cm tail for fastening off. This concludes the explanation for the soil. Next, let's learn how to make the trunk. Start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The method for the first 16 rounds is similar to that of the pot. Just note that the stitch count and round count are different. First, follow the previous method to finish the last stitch of round 2. The swatch has already reached the corresponding position here. Pay attention, working even will make the fabric naturally curl. Adjust the fabric so that the right side faces out. Then join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. This completes round 2. For the remaining rounds, refer to the chart for crocheting. Note that each round should start with a standing stitch. Always finish by joining with a slip stitch. Do not adjust the positions for increasing or decreasing stitches. Everyone, follow the chart to complete round 16 of the trunk. Next, crochet row 17. Starting from this row, you don't need to make a standing stitch. There's no need to finish with a slip stitch at the end. Start by crocheting 2 chain stitches. These do not count as stitches. Then start crocheting correspondingly from the 3rd stitch of the previous round. Place a stitch marker on the first single crochet. Follow the chart until you reach K2. When you encounter K2 below, K indicates skipping stitches. The number after K tells you how many stitches to skip. Here, you need to skip 2 stitches. This completes row 17. Move on to row 18. Start with 6 chain stitches. Then begin crocheting from the 2nd stitch of row 17. This is the stitch right next to the left of the stitch marker. Place a stitch marker on the first single crochet. Continue following the chart for crocheting. Complete this row all the way through. Finally, skip one stitch. You can count the rows like this. Row 17 is to the left of 2 chain stitches. The 6 chain stitches mark the beginning of row 18. This completes row 18. For rows 19 through 25, the crocheting method is similar to row 18, but with different stitch patterns and stitch counts. Each row begins with the corresponding number of chain stitches. Then start crocheting from the second single crochet of the previous row. Follow the corresponding stitch pattern for each row. Always skip the last stitch at the end of each row. For row 26, refer to the chart for crocheting. You can place a stitch marker after completing the first single crochet of each row. Place a stitch marker. Everyone, follow this method to complete these rows. This is what row 26 looks like after it's finished. Now, let's move on to row 27. Start from the first stitch on the left, which is the last stitch of row 25, with 1 single crochet. You can press the chain braid under the inside of the fabric. After completing the first single crochet, place a stitch marker. Then continue on the left side. In the remaining stitch of each row, make 1 single crochet, make a total of 9 single crochets. Then, in the 4 stitches at the beginning and end of round 16, make 4 single crochets correspondingly. Next, on the remaining stitch of each row on the left side, make another 9 single crochets correspondingly. Finally, in the remaining stitches of row 26, make 5 single crochets correspondingly. This completes row 27. For the last row of the trunk, simply match each single crochet to the ones from the previous row. After completing the last single crochet, make 1 chain stitch to secure. Leave a 40 cm tail end before cutting the yarn. Next, stuff the trunk with filling cotton and shaping wire. Cut 2 20 cm sections of shaping wire, then, cut the chain stitches in the middle of the trunk's interior. Start by stuffing a small amount of filling cotton. Next, fold the shaping wire in half. Insert it into the trunk. Ensure the shaping wire follows the side with the larger curve. Then, stuff more filling cotton around the shaping wire. This completes the trunk. Next, let's move on to the branches. Start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The method is similar to the trunk, but with different stitch counts and rounds. Follow the chart to complete the branches. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail for sewing. This concludes the explanation of the branches. Next, let's learn how to make the leaves. There are 3 leaves from top to bottom. All start with a chain stitch. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. After completing, stuff them. Finally, sew them together. The leaves use new stitch techniques. W short crochet 3 stitches in 1 stitch. T half double crochet, F double crochet, and TW half double crochet, 3 stitches in 1 stitch. Now, I will demonstrate using leaf 1 as an example. For the remaining 2 leaves, you can learn them first, and then follow the pattern to crochet. Now, let's show the demonstration. First, start with a chain stitch. 7CH indicates that the starting method is a chain cast on. Cast on 7 chains. Hang the yarn with your left hand. Hold the crochet hook with your right hand. Position it below the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Pinch the crossing point of the loop with your left thumb and middle finger. Pinch the crossing point of the loop. Put the hook on the left side of the yarn. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. You need to pull tight. Continue with a chain stitch. Pay attention that the beginning chain should not be too tight. Following this method, continue to crochet 6 chain stitches. This completes the starting chain. Next, crochet the first round. The chart indicates the second from the last. Start crocheting from the second chain from the hook. Pick up the second front loop of the braid from the left side with the hook. That is, pick up this single strand of yarn. Crochet 1 single crochet. Place a stitch marker. Continue to pick up another strand and crochet 4 single crochets, one by one. After completing, you will see that 1 chain stitch remains. The chart shows SC3 in 1. This means crocheting 3 single crochets in the same stitch. After completing, pick up the remaining 2 strands from the chain stitch. Crochet 4 single crochets, one by one. Pay attention not to crochet into the insertion point of the SC3 in 1. As you crochet, you can hide the starting yarn tail by crocheting over it. After completing, work a single crochet increase into the insertion point of the first stitch. Finally, join with a slip stitch at the stitch marker position. Pull tight. You can trim the excess starting yarn tail. This completes the first round. For rounds 2 to 4, please refer to the chart to crochet. Now, let's move on to the 5th round. Start by crocheting 9 single crochets. when you encounter the red stitch flow. T3F. Flow means picking up the front loop only for crocheting. That is, the strand of the stitch closest to you. For all red stitches, pick up and crochet the front loop only. The stitches in the brackets are worked into the same position. Start with 1/2 double crochet, yarn over, insert into the front loop. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, and draw through all loops on the hook in one go. And 1/2 double crochet is completed. Move on to work a double crochet. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and draw the yarn through. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Yarn over again, and draw through the next 2 loops. And that completes 1 double crochet. Now work another double crochet in the same stitch. Let me demonstrate this again. Yarn over and insert the hook. Draw through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops twice. And the second double crochet is completed. Work another double crochet. This completes the content within the square brackets. Next, pick up the front loop of the left side single crochet, start with 3 double crochets. Followed by 1/2 double crochet. This completes the content within the second set of square brackets. For the remaining part, refer to the pattern chart for your crocheting. This concludes the instructions for round 5. Now move on to round 6. First, follow the chart until you reach the red stitches. The sample has already been crocheted to the corresponding position. Next, pick up the front loop, and crochet the single crochet. When you encounter the TW, work 3 half double crochets into the same stitch. This means crocheting 3 half double crochets in the same position. This completes the TW section. For the remaining part and the remaining rounds, refer to the chart for your crocheting. At the end, leave a 40 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Once completed, stuff with an appropriate amount of filling cotton. Then, thread the reserved yarn tail through a darning needle. Fold the final round stitches in half. Insert the yarn tail through the right side stitch. Then exit from the right side stitch. Next, insert it into the left side stitch of the slip stitch. This sews the two stitches together. Continue to exit from the right side stitch. Insert it into the left side stitch. Continue sewing. After completing the final stitch, tie a knot with the yarn. Do not cut the yarn tail. This completes the explanation for leaf 1. For the remaining 2 leaves, the stitch techniques have all been demonstrated before. Just refer to the chart to crochet. Leave a 40 cm yarn tail at the end for stuffing and sewing. This completes the explanation for leaf 1. Next, let's learn about the decorations. They include large ingots, large coins, and small coins. Let's start with the large ingot. Start with a magic ring, and crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The method is similar to the first few rounds of the flower pot, but the number of stitches and rounds are different. You need to close the opening at the end, then pull the yarn tight. First, use the corresponding yarn, and refer to the chart to crochet until there is 1 round remaining. Next, crochet the final round. Begin by stuffing with an appropriate amount of fiber fill. Ensure the first 2 rounds are firmly stuffed. Then crochet a single crochet decrease. Continue crocheting while stuffing with fiber fill. You can use the hook handle to help stuff. Ensure the large puff is firmly stuffed. Join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Now proceed to close the opening. Stretch the loop. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail and fasten off. Thread the yarn tail onto a darning needle. Then pass it through the front loops of the last round of stitches. Once completed, tighten it. Press flat. This completes the closing. Next, proceed with threading. First, insert the yarn tail into the center of the closure. Then exit from any stitch in the second round. Next, insert into a stitch on the right side. And exit from the center of the closure again. Slightly tighten. Then insert back into the center. Exit from the adjacent stitch. Insert on the left side. Pay attention to always entering and exiting at the center of the closure from the bottom. Follow this method to pull through the entire round. After all the yarn tails are pulled through, adjust the shape. Don't cut the yarn tails yet. This completes one large coin-shaped piece. For the remaining large coin-shaped pieces, everyone should complete them following this method. This completes the explanation of the large coin-shaped piece. Next, let's learn how to make the small coin-shaped piece. Start with a magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Everyone should first follow the chart to complete the first round. The sample has already completed the first round. Now, crochet the second row. Make 2 chain stitches as the turning chain for the half double crochet. This counts as 1 half double crochet. Then, work 1 half double crochet increase in the first stitch. That means working 2 half double crochets in the same position. Hide the yarn tail as you crochet. This completes 1 half double crochet increase. At the same time, the content within the first set of square brackets is now complete. Continue following the chart to finish the remaining set of square brackets. First, work 1 half double crochet increase. Then, make 2 chain stitches. Next, work 1 slip stitch. Pull tight. Finally, make 1 chain stitch to secure. Leave a 30 cm tail of yarn before cutting. This completes one small coin motif. Complete the remaining small coin motifs using the same method. That concludes the explanation for the small coin motifs. Next, we will crochet the large coin motif. Start with a magic ring. Crochet into the magic ring. After completing the foundation ring, make 3 chain stitches as the beginning chain. This serves as the turning chain for the double crochets. This counts as 1 double crochet. Then, crochet 11 double crochets into the magic ring. After that, close the magic ring. Leave a 30 cm tail of yarn before cutting. Finally, fasten off. This completes the explanation for one large coin motif. Complete the remaining large coin motifs using the same method. For the small coin motifs, also start with a magic ring. Crochet into the magic ring. The technique is similar to that of the large coin motifs. Leave a 30 cm tail of yarn before cutting, and then fasten off. Everyone, finish crocheting these small coin motifs. Next, we will assemble them. Sew together the completed parts. Start by sewing the soil to the flower pot. Sew it to the stitch position at round 17 of the flower pot. This is the inner circle of horizontal lines. at the indentation below. Now, proceed with the sewing. Match up the positions of the slip stitch marks. Pick up the last round of stitches from the soil. Match and sew these stitches to the ones at the indentation. Here, you can turn the edge of the flower pot over. This will create this effect on the outside. When there's just a little distance left. If there are any areas where the stuffing doesn't fit properly, make adjustments and add more as needed. Try to keep the top bulging as even as possible. After sewing everything together, hide the yarn tails inside the soil. Trim any excess yarn tails. This way, the flower pot is sewn together with the soil. Next, sew the branch onto the trunk. Place the opening of the trunk facing down. The starting point should be on the left. Then, position the branch opening downward. Sew it to the right side of the trunk between rounds 15 and 19. Thread the yarn tail into a darning needle. Next, align the seam of slip stitches on the branch to the right. Place it at the corresponding position on the trunk. Pick up the last round of stitches from the branch. Stuff the inside of the branch with a small amount of fiberfill. Continue sewing. Finally, tie off the yarn tail. Insert it into the trunk. Trim any excess yarn tails. This way, the branch is sewn on properly. Next, sew the trunk onto the soil. Align the slip stitch marks on the soil to the back. Then, place the opening of the trunk on top of the soil. Align the left side of the trunk with the edge of the second round of the soil. Then align the right side of the trunk with the 7th round of the soil. Keep a distance of 2 rounds from the pot. Thread the previously left yarn tail into a sewing needle. Sew it onto the soil. You can adjust the position as you sew. When there's just a little distance left. If there are any areas where the stuffing doesn't fit properly, make adjustments and add more stuffing as needed. Finally, hide the yarn tail inside the trunk. This way, the trunk is sewn on properly. Next, sew the leaves onto the trunk and branches. Sew leaf 1 at the beginning chain of the trunk. Sew leaf 2 at the starting chain of the branch. Sew leaf 3 at the 7th round of the front part of the trunk. Start with sewing leaf 2. Thread the yarn tail into a sewing needle. Insert the needle into the inside of leaf 2. Then come out from the middle position of the seam. Next, move the slip stitch marks to the back. And sew it securely to the first round of the branch. Sew twice. Then insert the needle into the center of leaf 2. Exit on the right side. Sew the pendant onto leaf 2. Pay attention to the direction of the lettering. Finally, tie off. Hide the yarn tail inside leaf 2. New Mommy Handmade times cozy, fun knitting. New Mommy trims any excess yarn tails. Now leaf 2 is sewn on securely. Next, sew leaf 3. Thread the yarn tail through the needle. Position the slip stitch marks to the back. Bring the yarn tail out from the left side of a slip stitch in the third round of leaf 3. Then sew it onto the front of the trunk at the 7th round. Now leaf 3 is sewn on securely. For the remaining leaves, sew them onto the trunk at the first round, where you started. This completes the explanation for sewing the leaves. Next, we will sew on the decorations. Sew the large and small ingots, as well as the large and small coins, onto the trunk and the soil. The method for sewing the large ingots to the trunk is the same. You can refer to the finished product for specific positions, or sew them according to your own preference. Once everyone has sewn on the large ingots, we will move on to sewing the small ingots. Take out a small ingot. Thread the yarn tail through the needle. Ensure the right side of the small ingot faces out. That is, the textured right side should face out. Then, insert the yarn tail into the inside of the small ingot. Come out from the bottom end. Sew it onto the edge of the second round of leaf 3. Sew a few stitches. Finally, tie off the yarn tail. Insert it into the inside of leaf 3. This completes the sewing of the small ingot onto the leaf. Another small ingot should be sewn onto the right edge of the second round of leaf 1. For the other small ingots, sow all the large and small coins onto the soil using the same method. Please complete this on your own. Next, cut a 30 centimeter length of yarn, in the same color as the ingots. Embroider small lines in front of each of the 3 leaves. Thread the yarn tail through the sewing needle. Insert it from the back of the leaf. Leave a 10 centimeter yarn tail, then embroider small lines in front of the leaf. For the middle line, pass through twice. Finally, draw the thread through the reserved yarn tail. Tie a knot with the yarn tail. Finally, hide the thread inside the leaf. This completes one group of small lines. For the remaining 2 sets of small lines, follow this method to sew them. This concludes the assembly explanation. Up to this point, the entire explanation for this potted plant is complete. If you have any unclear parts during the process, feel free to ask. Don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.